So, in continuing our review of some books on my to read list, I decided after we did a serious book, we would go back to some nice just old fashioned adventure. Specifically, I have the entire Spelljammer Cloakmaster cycle saga, whatever they have a name, the Cloakmaster cycle here to read. I also have my Pirates of Realm Space, which was an enjoyable time. In case you can't tell, I enjoy space adventures, and space-like adventures. And so Spelljammer as a setting has always been appealing to me. And so I figured since I learned that there was a series, I went out, ordered a bunch of the books from various online realtors that had used versions. And we've gotten through the first two, and so the first two felt like a good time to get into it. Uh, Starts with Beyond Two Moons, in which Teldin Moore, a melon farmer, and I assume he farms other things as well, uh, living on living on Krynn, runs into some trouble when a spelljamming ship crashes on his planet with a mysterious cloak. It's entrusted to him by the captain, and he meets a giff named Gamja, and they go on adventures, ultimately traveling through a couple of places. We won't get to too much, but ending their adventure by getting by befriending some elves aboard a merchant ship. There and after that, they head to the gnome town of Mount Nevermind, where the gnomes attempt to learn what is cloak does and how to get it off because it can't come off. So they're working on it. He learns how to manipulate the cloak, make it can basically grow, shrink, whatever he needs it to do. Uh, and that's when the Neogi attack Mount Nevermind. Neogi are these evil spider-like spell-jamming race who have Umber Hulks. Think of them as very large golem-like creatures. They're not golems, but they kind of you can imagine them like that. They're big and stompy. He escapes aboard a gnomish spell jamming ship, and that takes us to the second book. Fun adventure. Again, like most of these books, super quick read, very easy to get into. I actually read this several months ago before I went around to getting the second one, so my memory of it isn't as good, and so I don't remember. I remember reading it and thinking that it read fine. There weren't any real big hiccups in it. It goes smoothly, and for a quick fantasy adventure, it's great. If you can find a copy, you should get it. Into the Void, you see now the problem of buying used books. I was wondering why it was so cheap, and I should have read the description of it, but yeah, no. One thing you'll notice very quickly, all of these are written, well, not all of them. I think 3 and 5 are written by the same person. I haven't gotten to them yet, so I don't know for sure. But 1 and 2 are written by different people. It shows because the references to the first book they're there, but it's clear when you read it, it's a different person. Noticeably, our hero Teldin goes through weapons training again during this book. I assume just because they kind of forgot he learned how to use a spear in the last book. But whatever, we move on. Here he manages to make some friends with a new ship after his gnomish ship is forced to flee during a pirate attack, and he's abandoned with some other gnomes aboard the ship Probe, where he meets its mind flayer captain and the rest of the crew. They go on a bunch of adventures, and at the end, he is left back on the Probe, having not learned much of what he set out to do, but having had a quite fulsome adventure along the way. Overall, again, its writing is perfectly serviceable. It's good. Just like most of these, you'll every now and then you'll find that there's some phrases or ways things are described that the author really likes, so they stick out. I think Steele sings like death several times in here. People get stabbed up to the quillions a couple of times. So again, nothing that big, not a big deal, but it's just one of these things I notice when I'm reading these older adventure books, that authors have their favorite things, and when you're writing on a timeline, you get to keep them. So, will I read the rest? Yes, obviously, we're going to read the rest. Very fun, very exciting. We get to go to space, and we get to go to space with a D&D flair. But one thing I will mention is that we are in D&D, but it's not as painfully D&D as some books. Uh, Casting is still done with material components and somatic and some words, but you never get a lot of talking about spell levels, even when they're talking about how the spell jamming helmets use use a wizard's slots, or I guess a cleric slots, use a caster slots to run the ship. They don't really talk about it a lot. It's just one of those things that's they explain without you realizing, oh yeah, this is based on a game with spell points and Vancian magic and all of, well, not spell points, but with Vancian magic and all of that. Again, I just like talking about the things that I've read, and I don't want to bore people who don't want to listen. But that's the first two quick book, quick look at the Cloak Master cycle, Beyond the Moons, and Into the Void. I'm really sad that I don't have one that has the cover art. I might go look for another used copy that just has the cover art, because all of the cover art on these is great, and so it's a shame that we don't have I don't have it for the second one. But there's Teldin Moore, the nice space rock lady who gives him the cloak, and then in the back, I don't know if you can see it. You might be able to make out the giff. And here, yeah, you can't really make out much there, except you see a mind flayer in the background, and the guy with the cloak is assumably Teldin. There we go. Just fun book report this time. Not much. Oh yeah, and I again very much like everything Spelljammer related. It made me go back to my Pirates of Realm space save real fast, and I remembered I had all these quick AI images that we made for the crew. There was our captain. Uh, AI could do some interesting things. So there was our Spelljammer crew for Spelljammer of Realm Space. Let's close that off. Again, Beyond Two Moons by David Cook. Into the Void by I had to realize that they would have the author in the back here, Nigel Findlay. Both of them fun, like it a lot. There we go. I'm gonna be done rambling here. You can probably expect to hear about 3 through 6 further on in the year.